Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Mondays. This is episode 44 and I want to talk to you guys about some really interesting models that I've been working on this week. And the first one that we're going to dive straight into is this Empire Warrior Priest that you can see going through the first few pictures. Now this is one of my favourite models of all time. I have wanted this since I was just a little kid, and I actually used to have an Empire army, which one of my biggest wargaming regrets was that I got well into the eBay buying and selling culture when I was a kid, and my dad would sell models for me, and I sold pretty much my entire Empire army for pennies on eBay just because I thought it was cool to sell stuff. Really regret that, although I guess it's not too bad now because they exploded the old world and I don't really like Age of Sigmar that much. So it's not the end of the world anymore, but it's still a bit of a regret that I did end up selling those models. But I actually, ever since when I did have my Empire army, I always wanted this Warrior Priest, but I never got around to buying it. And a few months ago, I actually was able to pick this up on eBay for a reasonable price. I think it was about £10 plus post, which is not too bad considering these are actually quite rare, quite difficult to get your hands on. And he's actually been, it must be over 6 months, he's been sat in my unpainted models drawer just waiting for me to work on him. The reason I have it is I was being really strict and disciplined, very Mordian with myself, and I was like, no, must finish second platoon, must redo first platoon, and then when you have done that, you can move on to third platoon. And I was like, you know what? Let's start third platoon off with a bang. Let's paint some really interesting characters. So I got this guy out, and I had a choice between painting him and the priest from Blackstone Fortress, and I was like, you know what, if I don't paint him now, it'll be another 6 months before I get a chance to paint him. I want to paint this guy. So I've got him, painted him up, and I have to say I absolutely love the model. It's really, really good, but the sculpt is really interesting because it's obviously a green stuff sculpt. Back in the day before they had, electronic ways of rendering the sculpts, they had to make them by hand with green stuff. And you can tell it's a green stuff one most of all on the chainmail, because the chainmail is obviously green stuff, which one's got a pin and poked holes in it. Now it works really, really well, but it's also very obvious that's what they did. So anyway, I'm just going to use this guy as a regular old Ministorm priest. Yes, I know you can't get hammers for your Ministorm priest. I know I could give him a power maul, but that's now a Legends choice. Honestly, guys, it doesn't really matter. This guy is obviously a Warrior Priest. He's obviously a Ministorm priest. I could use him in a tournament, no issues. And if someone asks me, what is he armed with? I just say he's got a las pistol and chainsword. Simple as that. I don't need to worry too much because, yes, technically he's not WYSIWYG, but he's so obviously a Ministorm priest, and Ministorm priests, you'd really take them for the +1 attack for everyone. You're not really bothered too much about their own combat prowess, that it doesn't really matter. He's so obviously a priest. So second model that I was working on, another classic out of production one, is this Caden Leftenant, which you've just seen a few pictures for. I love these old Lieutenant models. You see, back in the day when Cadens were first resculpted and were put into plastic, they still a lot of their special characters, special weapons were made in metal. And Games Workshop, over the course of the release of the new Cadens, brought out 6 unique Lieutenant models. Okay, 3 of them with peaked caps, 3 of them with helmets, and they had the same weapon loadout. So you had 1 of each, peaked cap and helmet, 1 with bolt pistol chainsword, 1 with las pistol power fist, and 1 with plasma pistol and power sword. And I was able, fortunately they made boatloads of them, so you can pick them up off eBay for, again, between £5 and £10. And again, over the course of last year when I was doing the project, I was able to pick up all 6 of them bit by bit. I already owned 2, but I'd converted 1, so I actually only owned 1 of them, which was las pistol power fist guy, who's the lieutenant I use in my battle reports, Fisty Bro, and he's a fantastic model. And so I've picked them up, so I'm really grateful that I've been able to collect all these models. And I'll say it now, big shout out to the Patreon supporters, because it's through the contributions and the support of my Patreons that I am able to afford to get these quite rare and out of production models from eBay. I'm able to, you know, supplement the costs a little bit with the Patreon money, and I have to say that I have some really, really awesome and dedicated Patreon supporters, really loyal guys. So double thumbs up, massive thank you to you guys. And I always like to try and mention it where, you know, where I'm using the Patreon money, because you can see where it's going, what I'm using it for, you know, channel improvements, just getting these cool classic models, which I can then paint up and show off to you guys in the Mordian Mondays, but also then put them on the tabletop, and you can see them in action. So when you guys, when lockdown is over and the battle reports start flowing, you guys are going to see this lieutenant, you're going to see this priest on the battlefield, and loads of other models that I've got with the Patreon support, all the, you know, loads of the classic ones, and you'll be able to go, yeah, these are the models that have been bought through that. So double thumbs up, massive thank you. Just wanted to drop that in. You guys know I don't go on about my Patreon too much. I just try and say it occasionally so that you guys know that it's coming from the heart, and I'm not just saying it because I feel like I have to. So yeah, really like these old sculpts. The loadout for the officer, yeah, I know bolt pistol is not a great choice. For the same price, you could just get a bolter, but it's cool, man. And with my Mordians at the moment, we're really pushing for the rule of cool aspect. I will eventually get loads of models painted up that will allow me to then field ultra efficient, ultra competitive pure infantry armies. For example, the 300 point army with all the plasma gun missile launch squads. I will get there, and that's what I am aiming for. But I can't go straight down that road, because if I just paint up all the cool, efficient stuff, well, maybe not necessarily cool, but all the best choices, but maybe not ones that I'm super passionate about, I'll then lose the interest on painting things that are maybe less optimal. So that's, you know, if you look at my Scions that I'm doing, repainting those classic metal Stormies, you know, really I should be focusing on getting all the plasma and melter painted up. But I like to try and paint for every good, cool, efficient choice that I want to use in my army. I like to also paint up a just cool option. And there is nothing more classic than an Imperial Guard officer armed with a bolt pistol and chainsaw. They, in all the stories, all the artwork, you know, you always have the officer with the bolt pistol. That's almost like the sign of an officer. Yeah, some have power swords, but their power swords are meant to be kind of rare weapons. But the sign of a classic, you know, Imperial Guard officer is that bolt pistol. So I will more than happily use this guy in my army. Now, one other thing I want to say is that I love about these lieutenants is that I can use them as both officers, but also just as regular old sergeants. So they have got quite a lot of flexibility as well. Now, what's also quite interesting is, whilst in the wider context, having a guy with a bolt pistol and chainsaw is not the best option. You either want to go for the bolter or the last pistol and chainsaw. If you look at the weapon options that I have painted up on my early officers, like power fists, power swords for days, plasma pistols, this is actually quite a nice cheap option for me. So when I want to ride that line between fluff, rule of cool, and competitive, efficient choices, this is the kind of model that I'm going to lean towards for my officers. Because yeah, whilst it's awesome having, you know, power swords and plasma pistols in all my officers, it is expensive and it's not really point sufficient. But you know, and really on your officers, you kind of want to be just running last pistol and chainsaw. And if you're being super efficient, that's what you want to go for. But with this, I can now go, well, I'm not going to go for the super efficient option, but I'm going to go like 90% efficient, and I'll spend that extra point in to get the bolt pistol because that's a cool weapon upgrade. And sometimes you never know. I have had a game with, this was back in 6th edition, maybe end of 7th edition, where my officer with the bolt pistol took the last wound off a demon prince, and he would have not been able to do that if he'd been on the last pistol. So sometimes it's always good to buy those fluff upgrades because you get that once in a million time when it's really cool and you remember that moment. So it's really awesome. And you know, you can just rule of cool, man. Rule of cool for days. So the last thing I want to talk about this week is the heavy weapon teams that I've been working on. So I have made I've made a start on 3rd Platoon, obviously with the officers, and I also appreciate the fact that it's going to take me a while to get like 3rd Platoon to a point where I can use the squads and have, you know, lots of variety for unit choices. So what I did is I painted up the heavy weapons first, because if by some miracle, you know, the UK government says, okay, lockdown over, go back to playing, you know, Warhammer, then which I can imagine, you know, the Prime Minister getting up and saying that, yeah, specifically, guys, it's okay to go out and play Warhammer now. I'm like, yes, get in! Boris Johnson, secret Warhammer fan. But I appreciate that if the lockdown was to end sooner, then I want to be able to have some extra firepower, because one of the big problems I've got with the mods I've painted up is out of the 12 line infantry squads that I've painted, only 3 of them have got heavy weapons, and one of the big problems I have with my army currently is a real lack of fire support, and I do tend to get chewed up and by long range firepower. To be fair, I've faced a lot of Tau with my Mordian so far, but I kind of want to not just be relying on lasguns to kill everything. So I thought, you know what, get some heavy bolters. They're a solid weapon choice. They're the second most efficient weapon choice behind missile launchers at the moment. They're in that sweet strength 5 bracket. And what I can do is I'll paint these 3 up first, then I can include them in the other platoons if I need to. But if the lockdown continues and I've got loads more time to paint, I'm actually now painting the infantry to go with these heavy weapons. So it's kind of like, I expect the lockdown to go on longer, but if it doesn't, I've actually, you know, it's starting to come to an end. You know, the situation's really starting to turn around in the UK for the positive, touch wood. So I'm in a position where I can come out, and when we hit the battle reports again, I can start laying down some slightly better pure infantry Mordian armies, because I'm not just a pure fluff one. But I am now working on the infantry to go with these, and I'm working on 3 infantry squads, and I've given each one a grenade launcher special weapon and a bolter on the sergeant. I have actually also given each squad a Voxcaster, but again, I'm not actually going to pay for those Voxcasters. I just like having Voxcaster sprinkled throughout the army, because it just gives a bit of model variety. And to be honest, I have kind of been toying with the idea of including more Voxcasters. So maybe 3rd Platoon will be a platoon where I pay for every squad to have a Voxcaster, and we'll see if they actually do anything. And maybe I'll be like, oh, Voxcasters aren't a big deal, and then I'll stop using them. I'll be like, geez, I wish I had my 18-inch order bubble again, and I'll start using them again. I suspect that might be the case once you get used to having really long range orders and not having to panic sprint officers all over the place and move, that it'll be difficult to go back. So it's interesting. I'm just experimenting. So the beginning of 3rd Platoon will be 3 squads with lasguns, heavy bolters, bolter and grenade launcher. Now I did toy with painting up some plasma guns for these guys, but I recently just finished off a plasma gun veteran squad, so I actually already have 6 plasma guns for my pure infantry army, but I only have 3 grenade launchers. And you guys know, for every competitive good weapon option that I paint up, I do like to try and paint up a more fun option. And grenade launchers, you know, aren't as good as plasma, to be fair. Still a great weapon, but not as good. Also, you can't get past the fact that heavy bolter grenade launcher squads are kind of a classic guard weapon option. It's like the grenade launcher autocannon or grenade launcher heavy weapon squads. Those are the go-to standard Imperial Guard loadout. I've included the bolters because I'm planning the regular bolter and sergeant, because I'm planning to move towards the custom regiment with the 18-inch rapid fire. So I'm starting to move towards that. So all my sergeants in 3rd Platoon are going to be armed with bolter. So that's something really cool to look forward to. And I'll probably in the next 3 squads, I will do a plasma gun in the next 2 squads and another heavy weapon option. So that'll be interesting to see. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I really like the conversions of heavy bolters. The last thing I want to say on them is they've been converted with the Scion heads, and I also really like the variety that I've put into the support gunners, like the ammo feeders. Most of the bits used on those are from the regular kit. There's a few from the command squad, heavy weapon kit, a few from the command squad, but all the heads are Scion heads. And what I've actually done, this is something you can look forward to for next week, is like the next 3 squads have all got berry heads from the Scion kit. So that's something really awesome to look forward to. And I might try and do the full platoon with them. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about these classic sculpts. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.